Well, good afternoon, listeners. Thank you for listening to Lament of Hope podcast. I'm very excited today because I'm speaking with Viola Lagat, and I came across her story when I was I had been thinking in my mind about wanting to have some international athletes on the show. I had had some Olympians from this past year, and I thought, I would love to be able to speak with women in other countries who have come to the Olympics or have participated in some way. And Viola was in the 2016 Summer Olympics, and she is a middle distance runner. And that's what she specializes in. And when I was researching, I came across her, but I also came across her organization, which is called Tirop's Angels. Um, and it was founded by her, co founded by Viola because of her friend Agnes, who was an Olympian who passed away not too long ago because she was murdered shortly after winning a championship. And so Viola ended up starting this organization to advocate against gender crimes that are specific to the African region, but especially in Kenya. And her friend Agnes, allegedly her husband is the one who murdered her, but her husband, who was on bail, escaped his parole officer. And so the court, it's like the fourth or fifth time that the court has pushed off his trial because he's missing now. So they can't find him. And so it's been years that the family's been waiting, and Viola's been waiting for justice for Agnes, and that hasn't come yet. And so it's bittersweet in the sense that um, Agnes's story has allowed for Viola to make a more public stance against femicide, especially in Kenya. But at the same time, there's very delayed justice for this, which is really difficult for her and her family. So, Viola, first of all, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Danielle.
So, I want to ask you because I haven't been to Kenya. I've been to Ghana a couple times in my life, and I remember speaking to the women in Ghana, and they were asking me a lot of questions about marriage and what it was like in America. And I was trying to explain, in America, marriage is much more of a team thing. Like my husband doesn't view me as property, or if there is something abusive that's happening, that's something that you can advocate against, that you can get help for. And I remember them looking at me really surprised, like they just never heard anything like that before, and they always thought that whatever my husband says and whatever he does is what has to happen. Like I have no voice in it. And I just remember feeling so sad for these women because they just felt like there was nothing they could do. And when they discovered that this is not actually something that's okay or right, they were very surprised. And it wasn't something they talked about. And so I wanted to ask you in Kenya as well, how is the feedback for women around you in Kenya? Like, do they also go, yeah, we really understand this? Or for you to stand up and say gender-based violence is wrong is really surprising for them?
So in Kenya, I think from the experiences that the ladies from Ghana had is very much similar to what happens in Kenya, because at this point it's a societal problem. It is something uh, that has, to me, it has felt that it's been passed down from generations. And so my grandmother, for example, who gave birth to my mom, was a victim of gender-based violence. And for them, it did not start as a way of beating or anything else, but through arranged marriages where little girls from the age of 12, 13, when they just hit puberty, they were like married off at a very young age. And they're mostly married off to older men who are going to manipulate and control them and just dominate them throughout their marriages. And so when a woman like that gives birth to somebody like my mom will only learn what her mother knows best, that a man is above you and everything that he says is what is accepted, and you cannot challenge a man. And so when it gets to my mother, she will pass the same message to me and my sisters. And for me to be able to see that, it took me coming to America in college. I lived in Kenya for 18 years and or 17, almost 18. Coming to America was the very first time that I realized that when my mom was being beaten by my dad, for example, it wasn't a way of disciplining. It wasn't anything that was showing love, that, oh, I love you so much. And when you make a mistake, I have to correct you. The way a parent will say, oh, yeah, I'm just going to spank my kid for being naughty. And then that's it, because I just love them. I can't go beyond that. But for somebody like my mother, who was married off at probably 12 or 13, because I've gone back and talked to my dad and my mom about it, she went through what her mom went through, married off at a very young age, had kids by 18, and raised a family up to now when my mom is 70 something. And she has never known anything better than just a man is dominant and whatever he says goes. And so it was very hard for me, for example, to go back to Kenya and talk about gender-based violence. But that is something that when I realized coming here to America, because there was an experience with somebody very close to me here in the US that went through domestic violence. And that was the very first time that my family member called police and they showed up. And I was so shocked that she was like, yeah, police came and took him away. And I was really new in America. I was just like a year old here. And I was shocked. I was like, what do you mean they took him away? Where? The police showed up? Because in Kenya, also, like, police are not proactive in arresting perpetrators of domestic crimes or sexual assault when it comes to like assaulting kids or women. So when that happened, I was like, wow. So what has happened to my mom back home? She could have called somebody and she could have been helped. But that help will not come because men are still dominant in the society. The same policemen who should be coming to arrest, let's say, my dad when he beats my mom, are the same men who are being trained by older men who are their grandfathers, that you are the man and a woman cannot tell you anything. You're dominant. You discipline them if they're not listening by beating them, to put them, they call it putting them in their place, like in a women's position where they're being submissive. So it was an eye opener for me when my family member called police, and I was like, wow, okay, this is amazing. So I need to go back and teach women back home that they can actually do something about it. And it wasn't that easy because also I was battling back and forth, like, what is the society going to look at me? Am I going to be an outcast from my own community, that I'm actually talking about something that is almost forbidden? Are women going to feel like, oh, now that she's in America, she's bringing like the American culture back to Kenya, and we are okay, we don't have a problem with that? But I'm so lucky because the generation now, which is my generation, they quite understand that it's not okay. And when I went back home, I found a team of women who are willing to speak about their own experience and tell other women that it's not okay. But that unfortunately had to happen after Agnes died, because now I had watched generations from my grandmother to my mother, older sisters, cousins, relatives, friends, neighbors, everybody, every woman would be beaten in my neighborhood. You would hear today somebody is screaming, we are going to save her for the night. The next day it's my house. The next day it's a neighbor's house. So it was something that was so normal that growing up, I thought it was just okay. It was just people fight and they go back together anyways after a day or two. So that played a role in also like my older siblings, my cousins who are in their 40s right now. But yeah, unfortunately, Tirop Angels had to be born, or like to be founded after the death of Agnes, because now that my mind had opened and I understood my worth and also my rights as a woman, I say that's enough. Because if Agnes at 25, much younger than me, is being killed by someone then it's going down to 18-year-old girls being killed by their partners. So I wanted to put a stop to that. And I think, yeah, just her death was just that one thing that I needed to just like get me going. And unfortunately, up to now, we don't have justice because also our justice system is not working very well. Um, when Agnes was killed, the hearings kept being pushed back and forth for lack of evidence, or they need more evidence. And when the evidence was there, the guy actually got out on bail.
Yeah.
And it was against the family wishes, it was against our wish as a foundation, and everybody else who knew that he was a flight risk. Because when he had killed Agnes, he ran away and he was arrested close to the border of Kenya and Somalia. And like you had mentioned earlier, he skipped he skipped a hearing because when he was out on bail, he was supposed to be reporting every Monday to his parole officer. And for some reason, also, I'm actually blaming that parole officer or the system for letting him off the hook. I believe probably somebody might have been bribed to let him go, because if he's supposed to report every single Monday, how come by the following Monday he's not reporting until February when we were supposed to go for the hearing that could have actually concluded all the evidence stuff? And it was now going to a phase where the judge was going to analyze his case and probably start the sentencing. So it's been a difficult road going up just this justice system that does not work, especially, and it works against women and girls. Even though we have laws that says, let's say, sexual assault is not allowed, and it is actually like you will go to jail for a long time.
Yeah.
Perpetrators of sexual assault against, especially kids, like I, when I started the foundation in 10 by itself, I have heard of so many cases of sexual assault on kids, and people still get released. They walk free, they pay, and they walk. So it's sad, but at least we are doing something with the organization. We're continuing with the education in our communities about gender-based violence, especially when it comes to rights of women and girls, how to just seek help. If you need help, we are here for you. If you need support with the legal system, if you are a victim of GBV, we are there for you. You need medical help, we'll make sure we take care of you. That way women also have a place to go, because in a society like where I come from, more often victims of gender-based violence or survivors does not feel that they have a place that they can trust. And so we've established ourselves as a place where survivors of gender-based violence can trust us, and we can keep them safe for as long as they need for them to decide where they're going next. Or if they have a case that they want us to support, then we are able to support. But unfortunately, with the same societal norms, these women go back to the society and they're being reunited with the same people because their own families don't know better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because Kenya also has the genital mutilation of
Yes.
kids, right? When they're babies, females. Because I
Yeah. So,
remember interviewing a woman about that, and she had a foundation that was advocating against that because that was a huge problem. And I'm forgetting the country now, but I believe she mentioned it was in Kenya as well.
mm. Yeah. So the FGM in Kenya is still, I would say, two regions where they still practice it, but it's against the law, and the
Okay.
government has tried so much on that one. But that is also something that was passed down, that women should go through that process for them to be like girls should go through that process to become a woman, and this woman is going to be the perfect woman for a guy. And back then a man would not marry a girl before she goes through that process, because they would think that, oh, she's still young and wild. So but if you it's almost a way of subduing a woman.
Right.
So for a guy who wants a wife, he wanted somebody who can be manipulated, who can just chill and not do anything else, not think about anything else. Or if you're married to an ugly old guy, you don't have to look at other men and think, oh yeah, I have an option here. No, it was just a way of women controlling women to be in their own to stay in their own relationships for the benefit of the guy. So it's a one of the crimes that is perpetrated by men, but done like mostly it's done for the men, but perpetrated by women. So that's why in those two communities that they still practice, it's really hard to break it, because cases like gender-based violence in other forms, like the beating, the sexual assaults, women report those because it's against what they believe. But now FGM in those communities, they believe in them, and so it's hard to really break that. And we've
Yeah.
had like area chiefs or like a governor or something send people there, and people actually get attacked for even saying no against that. Even the women in the society, they are actually against it, which is one of the long-standing forms of GBV that has been hard to really get rid of in Kenya.
Yeah. Well, I was
Yeah.
going to ask, have you and the ladies in your foundation ever been attacked by other ladies for what you do, or is it mostly Kenyan men who are very much against what you do?
Fortunately, I haven't personally. I haven't received like attacks like that are harmful to me, but I've had threats that people are like, oh yeah, you are teaching women to run away from their relationships and stuff. Um, you are breaking marriages, and that was something that happened at the beginning of Tirop Angels, because people did not understand that we are not there to separate families. We are pro families that are happy marriages. But if abuse is happening in a family, that's where we draw the line. We don't want somebody else to go through what Agnes went through, because if we can save one woman every single year, I believe for Tirapenjo starts a win, because that one woman who is not going to be killed in a year, it's going to be two the following year, because the message that we are sharing shows that it's working. And so women to women, some of them actually think that we are just there showing off, singing and dancing, but we are actually showing the happy moments that women can have during those sessions before they can go home with a message that we have given them during the sessions. So whenever, let's say, for example, we post a video of like 600 women who comes to our events dancing and singing, it's because when they come, the first thing we tell them, we want you to experience your childhood that you never had. Let's dance away. Let's play the music. Just dance. Let it go, because you have so much going on at home. And then we will now get to the message. So by the time you make somebody like feel comfortable in the environment that you want to give them something, it's very easy for them to pay attention, take the message, because they're already relaxed. Instead of having somebody come in and it's almost like a lecture right away. So that has worked for us. And we've just had some just mean things from other women saying, hey, they're just young girls just gathering women to just dance around and do nothing. But over time that has changed, though, because now we've started this thing that we brought in men into Tiropenjos, and it happened in a really surprising way. So we had neighbors, my husband and I had neighbors who worked with so border is, let's say, a form of transportation in Kenya. So we don't have that many reliable bus systems or anything. So if somebody wants to get to a place quicker than, because most people in the villages don't have their own cars, they will take a border, which is a motorcycle. So you hire somebody to drop you off who has a motorcycle. So they call those border. So it used to be in the past, like they would drop people from Kenyan border to Ugandan border. So it was one border to another, and it was quick. It was the easiest form of transportation because the roads were not that good. So the border is operated mostly by men. And we realize men are the perpetrators of violence against women. So the best way for us to win this is to bring them on board and make them feel that they are part of the team, and they will speak our message. Other men will look at this and they say, oh, okay, maybe I will join this. This is the cool team. And then when they come on board, the first thing that we tell them is, now that you are our friends, rule number one, we don't ever want to hear that you are abusing your wife or your kids. Rule number one, to be part of our team. Number two, if you are dropping off kids to school from your neighborhood, you are not going to be the one sexually abusing kids before they get to school, because that happens also. So we build them a shade where they can just, like, when it's raining or sunny, they can they have a roof over their heads, and then we just paint it up angels, and they feel like they are now part of the team. And that has worked because now the men have come in, they are getting the message, or and then there are also men who are being abused at home. And that is something that is unspoken because once again, men are the dominant. If a woman is beating you at home, how is that happening? Are you stupid for you to be beaten by a woman? So we have men who actually genuinely go through GBV, even though it's a small number. So when we tell men, we are here for you too, it's not just about a women issue, it's a human issue. Gender-based violence is a human issue, but women are going through it at a higher level compared to men. And that's why we are pumping in more resources when it comes to women issues, but we are here for you too. So they're like, oh, this organization is not bad. It's not about men or women. It's for all of us. But I understand women are being beaten every day. So that message, when it sinks in, we get the support. And that's where we are now, where we are actually getting to a happy place where now we have men supporting us. Even the male athletes are coming in because men would not show up to our events. We would call for events where we want all athletes, male and female, to come so that we can pass the message to them. And men, you would have like 3 or 4 or 5 men in a group of 200 women.
Hmm.
So after that, now that we started, we created a group. So in Tirop Angels, we had a group of 30 kids, uh, boys and girls. So they would come during school holidays because now we realize it starts at a very young age. Oh, I'm sorry, that's my niece and nephew. Yeah, so it starts at a very young age. And so we wanted to make sure that the kids get this message at a young age so that they can understand that it's not okay to be abused, because some kids, when they're abused, they don't even speak about it. Or some parents, some moms will have to hide because of the stigma around the community after, let's say, a child goes through a sexual assault. And so we brought 30 kids. And we knew these 30 kids are going to be our messengers at school. If they see something at school, they'll bring it to Tirop Angels. If they see somebody that needs help, they will intervene or talk to a teacher when it comes to an issue that a child is going through. So those 30 kids, we brought them and we would make them, so they wanted to learn how to run, because running has now become part of our culture, Kenyan culture, especially in Iten. So they will come to the office. We run together in the morning with other coaches. They come back. We stretch, have breakfast, and then after that they do Zumba and then Taekwondo classes for self-defense, and then we would have counseling classes for just all the kids, and then the counselor will identify kids who react to different things, and we'll go
Wow.
deeply into that to figure out if they've actually been victims of GBV, and that has helped. And then now we brought in 42 athletes, 20 women and 22 men. And so in those groups also, we provided psychosocial support to both men and women athletes, talk to them about GBV, go through what the male athletes have gone through in their own homes, watching parents fight every day. How did that affect their relationship with their counterparts, like the girls growing up? How did you view a woman? How can we change how you're viewing a woman in the society now? And that really changed because the 22 men went and talked to their friends about what we do at Tirop Angels, and everybody wanted to join the group. And it was really hard for us because we did not have that capacity yet, a big team to support. And then we also included women who are from the valley. They were old women who used to run back then. And when we started Tirop Angels, to them it was like something that they had always wanted. And when we went in, they said, we want to support you. We just want to feel like we are part of the team. You are going to an event, include us. We will go with you guys. You are doing a road march, we are walking with you on the roads. You want us to go to a court, we are showing up to the court. So those women came, and so every single morning they meet at like 5 in the morning before they prepare even anything for the kids to go to school. They run as a team, sit in one house, talk about issues around their community that has to do with gender-based violence. If there's any that they feel that they want to report to us, they will. If it is something small that they can talk to families about it to resolve, that is not violent, then they actually do. And that has really helped us as an organization in just branching out and getting help from different groups that we have incorporated in the office.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
amazing. With
Mm-hmm.
the T Rope organization, is it like something that's open at all times for anyone to come if they need like a safe house, or is it more of a nonprofit that's run at certain times of the day, if that makes sense?
Oh, so yeah, we have we when we started Tirop Angels, actually, we didn't even know that we were going to get this big that quick. We thought we were just gonna go to community because that's what we did. We would go to church. After church, we was like, hey, can we talk to the youth at church? And so we would talk to youth about GBV. The next group, we are like, hey, kids, can you tell your moms, give your moms just 2 hours on Saturday so that they can come and talk to us. And then you guys, when moms come home, they will bring something for you. So moms would come on Saturdays and we would talk to them. So we didn't know we were going to grow that big that quick. And so we only had a group of 5 or 6, which actually it's still like the main group, like us, the co-founders and some of our board members. And so um, so we would go to like camps and schools and talk to people. But then now with time we opened a small office in Iten across from police station because we felt that it would be safe if anything was to happen. It's just across the street from the police station, and that one is open from 8 to 5 p.m. But then if somebody needs an emergency, if it's an emergency in the evening, we always post our numbers, or most people have our numbers at this point, because when they come to our meetings, we I personally even give out my own phone number in Kenya because I feel like if somebody needs help, I should be able to respond to them. Our counselors, our other board members, we usually give out our phone numbers. And so that one operates 8 to 5. And then late hours, it depends. If somebody needs help, we'll make sure we connect them to, we have a local counselor whom we really like. She does a good job. Before we met her, she was doing her own independent work. She was sheltering women who were running away from homes. And so we've teamed up with her, and she's also a good counselor in the community. So that one, she's locally in the tent. She helps us when we have any issues, especially late hours before we open our office, and we'll coordinate all of us with the counselor. And let's say if it's a case that has to go to police station, we have friends at the police station who will tell them, hey, we have somebody coming in and we need a female officer to assess and help us, because we realize that a female officer will do a better job and she understands issues about GBV. And before we opened the office, we invited the police officers from that local police station to come. We told them what we do, how we would love for them to help us, because most cases that actually don't go through in our courts is because of how the statement was recorded at the police station. And that's 90% of the time. Some of the perpetrators can go to a local police station and bribe, and then everything gets switched around. But now that we are partners with that specific police station, somebody goes in and they do due diligence on that one. So yeah, and then if somebody needs a safe place, we coordinate, we find a safe place for them to stay. And then the following morning, then we visit them, and then we decide what do they really want going forward. What kind of help do they want? If they want to go to their relatives, sometimes we provide transportation for them to go to their relatives until things settle down. If they want something permanent, then we usually coordinate with whatever the survivor wants from us as an organization, but we do make sure that they are safe whenever they call us.
That's incredible because I remember when I was in Ghana, they didn't even know what counseling was. Like
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't an option. Like how did you would you say that in Kenya counseling is something that has grown more? Because I haven't heard of African countries that have counseling or even mental health services in general.
Yeah, that's the blessing, especially with Kenya right now, as one of the African countries that has invested so much in counseling. So if you go to most public hospitals, you will find a counselor, and I think most of them was introduced during when HIV just hit Africa, because people would have to go through psychological counseling for them to accept the outcome of the test that that maybe something came positive. Maybe they are HIV positive, and they needed somebody to talk to them so that they can accept that they're actually positive and go through the treatment for them to be able to regain their health. And so when we were looking for counselors, actually, I was surprised. Like, we have so many that have gone to school to study psychology, but they didn't have a job. And so it was just about who understands best what issues of gender-based violence. And so we ended up picking a lady who works in in a public hospital, where most cases of in this hospital they have a whole unit that is dedicated to GBV issues, and in her unit she works specifically with defilement. And so that one was actually a plus for us because we knew if we were sending a kid, she knows all the process, or even in a sexual assault with an adult, she knew exactly how to do it, and she was already connected with another police station that she would only always just do the test, send somebody to the police station, they get a statement at the police station, and then hold that statement with the results from the hospital, and then it would be easy for them to present to court instead of somebody tampering with the information from the hospital and the
Yeah.
court, yeah, and the hospital or the police station. So yeah, it's amazing. I didn't know that something like that existed when I came to the US, especially with counseling. And when I went back, I was just amazed by how much public hospitals now have invested in counselors.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. That's wonderful. I mean, I hope that's something
Mm-hmm.
that spreads more over all
Yeah,
of Africa because that's just amazing. You know,
yeah.
I wanted to ask you, do you when you talk about you mentioned churches earlier, and
Mm.
I know I would think that who are listening are going to think that churches would advocate against something like gender violence. In African countries, do you find that churches take any sort of stance on that? Or because of what you've said of how people have passed down in their families this idea that it's ingrained, so they don't really see the connection between their faith in God and how they act when it comes to marriage?
Yeah, unfortunately, churches are not playing any role in ending gender-based violence in Africa. And that is something that every single time we go to a church, I put the pastor or the priest on the hot seat. Because my first question would be, you are preaching the gospel of God, telling people everything they need to go to heaven. But you are skipping one part, that we are still on earth and we have to live amongst ourselves in peace. That is what is preached at church, peace. But how do you preach peace when there is no peace in our own families? How do you address that? And they often look at me like, hmm? And I'm like, yeah, I need you to address that because I am just a girl in the village, just going around talking about peace in our own homes. But how are you address? Because they address peace when there is, let's say, terrorism, political violence, but they never. The one violence that is very dominant and prominent in our society is domestic violence. They never address it. And so I put them on the record. I'm like, you know what? I want you to say it in front of your church. What are you going to do? Are you going to include a gender-based violence message on your next sermon? Or you're just going to skip it? And they're like, you know what, Viola? You've opened our minds to this, and we are more. Yeah, you have no idea. And actually, people applaud me for saying that because nobody ever challenges church. That's the problem. Even politicians, they don't challenge church.
Yeah.
Our organization is challenging church, and I believe that that's some of the things that, okay, as an organization sometimes we almost like we butt heads with people, but we are coming from a good place. We want people to do their work, because if you're preaching about something, why do you choose what to preach about? And all these things are supposed to be part of what you're preaching. So we've done that. And funny enough, we've had priests who would come to our office. They're like, we would want to come and talk to people. If you have a meeting, call us. And we're like, yeah, we will call you, but also do your job at your own church. Don't take advantage when you come to my office. So yeah, unfortunately, they're not doing their job. We've had cases of femicide in Kenya. Last year alone, we had an incident where 42 women, probably more, were found murdered in like this dumping site in Nairobi, Kenya. 42. They were being removed every single day in bags. 42 women. But what, as a society or as somebody who understands how things work, they're more than 42. And that is just one incident that these women were, it just took one case to uncover other 42 women in one shallow grave in a dumping site. Now, there are women who we've seen.
Was it all at the like all of them were killed at the same time, or was it
Probably,
42?
yeah, probably in a span of a year or so, because they would still
Okay.
identify the bodies and stuff. So it's like somebody was on a killing spree for a little while, and it happened that one of the girls that was killed, the sister, crazy, had a dream the night before that she was crying in a quarry. And she kept telling people, I want us to go there because my sister is calling me and I can feel, and she's telling me where she is. Crazy thing, it happened. They went there, they found her
Wow.
dead in a bag. And so that's how they uncovered other bodies. They kept opening bags, and it just kept going and going and going. By the time we were being the country was being addressed on TV, it was 42. So who knows, it could have been more than 42. So that just one incident of femicide in Kenya led to now the road marches and advocacy from different groups of people who work on gender-based violence issues in Kenya. And unfortunately, nothing much has happened. The president ordered every institution to have different groups of gender-based to address gender-based violence. He even came up with this like a group that would tackle GBV in Kenya specifically, but still nothing. I see every single day. Before the end of the show, I'll give you one of the ladies' Instagram page. You can see every single day or every other day she's posting about a child who has been defiled by a dad, like a group of like 3 or kids in the same home, or a woman that is being killed every other day in Kenya. She posts those. To me, it was so hard for me to even like start posting those things because it's really affecting the way I feel, because we thought once when Agnes died, we had sent this huge message. We are known internationally. Everybody understands the importance of everybody preaching about gender-based violence in Kenya, but it's not enough. Only a few organizations, that lady that I told you, is doing a good job sending this message. She makes sure people are being prosecuted and actually put away for years, because she would tell you, this is the child that we rescued. This is this child right now. Her case is complete. This person is going away for 20 years. Like, she does a good job of like posting all that stuff. But to me, it's always hard for me because Agnes's death affected me differently, probably because I came from a family of violence. And so for me to see all those every single day,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
almost like I just want to block it in my head, but it's my reality. And this is what I am doing with my foundation. So we took the route of just teaching people, supporting victims of gender-based violence, and just, also still advocating for justice for those who have been lost through violence. So, yeah.
Well, it seems to me that you are trying to change people's hearts.
Yeah.
And that is what actually, because we could change a law,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And like you said, if you still have families that are teaching their children this is what you do, it's not going to matter what the law
Mm-mm.
says.
Yeah.
They're just going to keep doing that because that's going to be the tradition, that's going to be what they know.
Yeah.
But you're actually going and talking to people and making and showing them like this is what happens, like you need to do something because this is a problem, like you're going and saying to individual people,
Mm.
let's make your life better,
Yeah.
and I think, to be honest with you, because like you said, it's important to advocate for laws that are good, but at the same time, like going to the heart of the people that are hurting is what makes really positive change, even if it's not going to be this huge, all at once, it all
Mm-hmm.
stops.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's amazing that you have the wisdom to see, okay, just because the politics is not going to follow me with this, I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
stop doing what is important and telling people about this. I mean, that's really good.
Yeah. Thank you. We're doing all we can to make sure that everybody in our society or our community understand that gender-based violence, bottom line, it's not okay. You cannot slap somebody and say, oh, it was just a slap. Or you cannot verbally abuse somebody to a point where they're losing their minds and say, hey, she just went crazy and I just said one thing. That's not okay. And also we are helping women to identify the red flags in partners. That way they're not falling victims to what their mothers ignored because the society never told them any different. So for us, we are opening the eyes of people in our community. We are giving them the message that they're walking away with, that this is my right as a woman, this is my right as a boy. And when I told you we do that with kids, so usually at the end of camp, when we have those 30 kids coming to camp during school holidays, we invite all the kids from the community so that they can just have one big party with our kids. And you can tell the difference between our kids, the 30 kids, and the kids from the community. It's almost like a cow and a sheep. Like you can tell the difference. These kids that have not received the message, they are timid, they cannot speak up, they've been shushed, they've been like put on a level that they cannot think of themselves being open. If you tell a kid, hey, come stand and tell me what your name is and which school you go to, the child who has not gone through our program and that they've gone through all this counseling and understand their rights, the child will be standing and just like scraping the floor with their feet and talking without the voice. Those kids don't have a voice already at like 3, 4, 5, 10 years, 12 years. But
Hmm.
the kids that we have in our community, in our program, these kids, we will tell them, hey, come and demonstrate what we've told you about where nobody should touch you. These kids would point everywhere, like my boobs, my back, the front. They would demonstrate those. But the kids from the village, they will be doing this because nobody has told them that they should be comfortable to say no and actually have
Hmm.
a voice to say, you cannot touch me here and here and here. You cannot touch my mouth. And for us, we feel that we will win at the end, but it's going to take a lot of work. And
Yeah.
I would wish that there are more organizations doing the work that we do, because we are one organization, one other in Nairobi that I know that is doing an amazing job. But it cannot be two organizations against a crime that has continued for generations. We cannot end by just having two organizations fighting for something that is much bigger than us. It would warrant every single person to think of the other person as number one human, and that they are not supposed to be subjected to any cruelty of any kind, and that they should invite dialogue when it comes to misunderstandings. And that should be taught even to kids. So that's what we do with our kids at the camp. We tell them, hey, I know you are not friends, but how can you coexist with this other person with kindness? Treat them with kindness, even though you don't like them. Or if somebody does something wrong to you, how do you respond to that? So we have the counselor teaching them how to respond to misunderstandings, how to sort issues between a boy and a girl. How are you as a boy looking at a girl in your school at your age? Are you looking at her as a potential girlfriend, or your sister, or your best friend, or your classmate? So the kids open up and talk about these things, and then their feelings, as they continue growing in a puberty, through puberty, they can channel those feelings differently instead of acting out. Because we've also had boys who just go ahead and sexually assault other boys or girls because they don't know any better. It's just like they don't know how to address those feelings. And
Yeah.
so we don't want them starting at a young age and growing up to be uh, like abusers of kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we try to address all those things. But yeah, we are happy that we are locally based. We want to spread the message on our own communities. And once our community is solid, it's like we are laying a foundation where, when our communities are solid, they have gotten the message, we are all preaching the same message that violence is a no-no. Then now we can go to the next level, which is to address the laws and the government and all those things. But we, first of all, as the people, need to unite against what is killing all of us, which is violence.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree. Well,
Mm-hmm.
for my listeners who are listening to you and are touched by this and are like, man, I wish I could help
Mm-hmm.
Viola and her organization in some way. Because even when I first researched you, I was trying to find your website, and then your
Mm-hmm.
website said it was under construction, and so there was
Mm-hmm.
nothing I could do. So, what, how is some way that people listening could help? Is there anything that people could do if they wanted to help you in the organization?
Yeah, thank you so much. Unfortunately, right now our website is still under construction to a point where it was friendly to donors from outside Kenya. The link that we had was not working for a lot of people, and so we had to go back and make sure that we are restructuring everything to fit other supporters of Tirop Angels from outside the country. But at the moment, you can still we are still welcoming support, especially when it comes to if anybody wants to donate their time to come and train our volunteers, because we are volunteer based. Actually, 90% of the people who support us are volunteers. If somebody would want to donate their time to train our volunteers so that they can understand how to address issues of gender-based violence in an effective way, because we've realized most of our volunteers, they are very dedicated to help us, but they're also victims or survivors of gender-based violence. So
Sure.
if they get the good training for them to be able to handle other victims or survivors issues, that is a plus for us. If we can also get training on our own staff on how to handle issues of gender-based violence, even myself, I'm welcoming training, because I did a lot of things starting Tirop Angels with what I went through. And I would just consult other friends like, have you gone through this? Okay, how do you feel? How should we address this? That was just how we handled it at the beginning. So I don't feel like I'm also in a position myself to say that I can effectively do my job as the founder and also part of Tirop Angels to be able to help somebody fully and fully understand how to address issues of GBV. So that is one. And we will make sure that we have our website up again soon. And we are working on a PayPal that people should look out for our Instagram. We will link it to our Instagram account as soon as it's done. That way they will be able to donate to us through that if the website is still taking a little longer.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then also with material, if there's somebody that has like good material on GBV that thinks that is going to be effective on training or teaching the society or how we can approach it better for us to get results faster, that would be great. And we are working towards a safe home. We don't have a safe house as an organization. The way we help our survivors is just finding a safe place. We pay and make sure that they are in a safe place where the perpetrator wouldn't even know they're there
Yeah.
until we decide where they're going next. And so for us, maybe they should look forward to maybe a fundraiser, or once the PayPal is up there, we will put the purpose. 90% of the time, we just wanted to go to the safe house, because that is something that we've realized it's a greater need for us, because we have survivors coming in, but we don't have our own place where we can say, now we have them here and we are very comfortable with them being here, even if they need more time. So that is
Sure.
something that we would wish for. And I've seen people who travel across the continent to build a safe house or a hospital or a school. We would want to have a school or a camp in the future where we can bring in girls during school holidays. And as we grow, we would want to also bring young boys and girls. That way they can all continue through the program that we have given them. We've realized that it's very effective with the 30 kids that we have done. And so in the future, if we were able to have those, then yeah, so those are our greater needs. But yeah, anybody is welcome to support us in any way. And they should look forward to a link on our Instagram page before the website is even on.
I will make sure to link those for listeners. If you're listening, you'll see it linked, and then if you're watching, you'll see it linked as well.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you, Viola, if someone Instagram, like if they message you, is that a
Yeah.
good way to talk to you? Like, would you be able to answer back, or is that
Yeah.
okay?
So if somebody actually sends me a message, it would be easier for most of the time. Anyways, I get messages just about Tirop Angels, and I'm the one that has that account. Nobody else has access to our account, so I'll be the one reading those messages. And if something has to be passed to my team, so sometimes somebody just writes on Instagram because they don't want to call or like say something. Let's say they're with somebody and they're not comfortable. They send it through our Instagram and say, hey, I want you to help so and so, if it's somebody within E10. But if it's somebody from outside the country also and they want to reach out to us, I'll be able to read those messages. And I will apologize if I don't respond on time. I'm always bad with social media, especially during hard training sessions for me towards races. But I will do a better job checking my Instagram Tirop Angels page more often so that I can respond accordingly.
Yes, I that's why I want to say because with what I know with me to reach Viola, it did take some time, but it does happen. And then she can give you a means of communication that's perhaps more personal if that's what warrants the
Yes,
discussion.
yes.
Um, but Viola, thank you so much. I'm so happy my audience is hearing this, and I am so inspired by your work. And you're just like, I'm like, I want to be your friend. I'm like, this woman is amazing. She's be my friend.
Oh, thank you so much,
You're
Danielle.
amazing. You're
That's
just so good. It's so wonderful to see the work you're doing. It's so fruitful. It's just good. It's just, yeah, I'm so inspired. Thank you for sharing your story. And I really do hope that these things that you need will happen. And of course, keeping an eye on your website and all of that. But I'm so grateful. Thank you for sharing all this. This is amazing.
Thank you so much for having me, Danielle. It's been a pleasure talking to you and all the listeners. Thank you for listening to our story about Tirop Angels. I'm looking forward to connecting with all of you again in the near future. And if there's something that you should do, is just support the work of Tirop Angels, even if it's just posting on your Instagram page or Facebook or whichever form media platform that you wish. Just post something about Europe Angels. That way people can understand the work that we do, and that's how probably we'll get more support. I truly appreciate you for the opportunity, Danielle. Sorry for the hassle getting through to me.
No,
Yeah.
you're okay. You're busy. Girl, you're changing things. I'm just sitting here with my microphone and I'm like, man, I need to get more busy.
Thank you. I appreciate
All
it.
right, bye.
Bye. You have a good one.